If something scares you, do it first.
So that is choreographed. It's nothing natural.
Yeah, and it should feel real. Nobody should see it and say, "यार ऐसे तो मैं कभी नहीं करता हूँ." Someone asked me, "I've been shooting sex scenes for 10 years. What do you bring to the table?" You will always see happy couples will sort of be a little tilted towards each other. You should know what is the spectrum of your consent. Consent is not just a yes or no. There is a maybe. If you're an artist, you've signed up for the non-safety, right? An organized artist is lethal. Live a life so free that your act of existing itself becomes a rebellion.
Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of We Are Art, a podcast for performing artists by performing artists. आज के हमारे गेस्ट हैं, she specializes in intimacy direction. अब ये intimacy direction क्या है? यही हम उनसे पूछना चाहते हैं because she is one of the first intimacy directors in India. So let's dive in right into the podcast and please welcome Neha Vyas. Let me welcome Neha Vyas. Thank you so much. I finally got it right.
Yes.
Intimacy direction. Let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
क्या है ये?
Okay. The simplest way for me to explain intimacy direction is हम action director होता है set पे तो action को direct करता है. Why is an action director on set?
To coordinate ताकि किसी को hurt ना हो जाए and all of that.
And authenticity of the scene.
Yeah.
Right? The scene has to look real and at the same time nobody has to get hurt. There are safety protocols. The emotion also has to be right. Right? All of that. Right? What does a dance director do?
He choreographs movements and synchronizes everyone so that no one bashes into one another, bringing out the true essence of what the scene or the song is.
Intimacy director does that for scenes of intimacy or nudity.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So that is choreographed. It's nothing natural.
Yeah. It's like choreographing a scene of intimacy. We call it simulated sex scenes,
Okay.
which basically means pretend sex scenes.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are beats to it. I would say, okay, now this is the time, hold the person like this. This is how you move. There's a marking rehearsal that happens, right? There's a workshop that we do beforehand to understand, where the boundaries of the actors lie. How is the actor interpreting the character and what does that character interpretation bring to the intimacy between two characters?
Okay, but these things, I am taking the devil's side. I'm being the devil's advocate. Like, let's say a choreographer who is good with the beats and all of that, he would probably be able to कि हाँ ये 4 count के बाद आप उनको गले में ले लो. After 6 counts, you kiss the person. So how is that different than choreographing a song? Like an intimate sequence, how is it different than choreographing a song, an intimate song, let's say?
Because it has far more higher physical and emotional vulnerability. In the sense, it will involve nudity, it involves sexual movements, it involves some kind of breathing patterns which are very different from the way you would do a dance or an action.
Could you
right?
elaborate on that?
So, for example, let's say I was to choreograph a scene of intimacy, right? My starting point is what is the emotional graph of the scene, right? Let's say 2 people who are a little drunk, they are girlfriend and boyfriend, right? So they're already in a relationship, but they've never had sex before, and they've ended up having sex today.
That night, okay.
That night, and that is the scene.
Okay.
Now, what is the starting point? There has to be fumble. There has to be, there is a graph where both of them they already like each other. The sexual tension is super high, right? But their bodies don't know each other, so it's exploratory.
Got it.
Right?
Oh, wow.
So you can't be super comfortable with each other. Like they are still exploring. They're excited but fumbling, right?
Okay.
That is sort of the crux, the emotional crux of the scene, right? Next step I'll do is I'll start asking the actors, what are your boundaries? What is it that you feel most inhibited about in this scene? So there might be an actor who would say, I'm not going to kiss. Or an actor who's going to say that, I don't want to show any nudity below my back. I don't want to be grabbed. It's okay if I am held, right? We get that specific in terms of what are the boundaries. And then we also talk about barriers, which is boundaries are things that you're pretty sure you don't want to, cross. Barriers are things that are holding you back. So Sometimes it could be simple thing as, you know, I have a partner. I don't know how to have a conversation with my partner about this, right? Or, you know, is this scene going to look nice? Because, you know, what if my family watches it, right? These barriers are very cultural in nature. They may not happen to like an intimacy professional in US or UK, but I know that across Asia, all of us intimacy professionals experience this. Where, you know, there's a lot of taboo around sexuality and, you know, scenes of intimacy and sex. So a lot of that conversation also happens. And from that, we create a sort of a map.
Okay.
Right? Now imagine, you know, when we were kids, we used to draw that little painting. All of us drew. There was mountains, there was a river, sun,
hut,
house, hut, everything, right?
Yeah.
Now, there were elements of that painting. But how you colored inside and how I colored inside is different, right? How did you know what you wanted to color? By asking yourself what feels
Instinct,
comfortable
yeah.
to you, what feels right.
Huh.
But the picture itself was a mix of elements that were required and what felt like flow. That's intimacy direction. So the choreography actions are the elements. You know, your boundary is the outline. And then the actors can color far more comfortably and confidently.
Wow, that is a brilliant explanation of what you do. Oh my God. Kudos to you.
Right?
So very well put.
So you do like an entire emotional graph of the scene. You get a briefing from the director. Then you work on what you think the action could be. You workshop the actors. You work with them to understand what's really holding them back. Where do they think the, you know, character's intimacy is going? The most important thing is the intimacy scene should not stand out from the narrative.
Should blend in.
It should blend in. And it should feel real. Nobody should see it and say, yaar, aise to main kabhi nahi karta hu. Because intimacy is very everyday, right? Like, tell me honestly, it's such a, we don't talk about it, but I think intimacy is such an integral part of the way we operate in the world that we live in.
That's true.
Right? Simple things like when you design a scene of intimacy, you have to be super involved in what intimacy for the entire story is. What is the role of intimacy in the story also? Let's say this scene that we were talking about, girlfriend, boyfriend, and you know, it's their first time. After the first time they have sex, the girl realizes it was really bad.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Possibility.
And then she doesn't know how to approach it with the guy. The guy thinks it was great. And then the rest of the scenes will show how their bodies change in space after something like that has happened. So the emotional graph of the intimacy scene has to align so well with the action graph, and the action graph has to be so authentic that every scene that comes after is a callback from that scene.
Wow. Interesting. मुझे नहीं लगता मैं मेरे प्रोफेशन के बारे में इतना क्लियरली बता पाता अगर किसी ने पूछा होता. But good, I am not sitting there.
Because it's also, people ask all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's, I mean, you know, I always feel like action directors or dance directors, choreographers don't have to explain so much because there's a history, there's a legacy of the skill already. But intimacy, for all practical reasons, I am building the language. So if I can't speak about it like passionately and like with like full heart, then to gadbad ho jayegi na. No?
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. And but थोड़ा उससे पहले जाते हैं. How did you get into this?
I've actually found, you know, this taboos around gender, sex and sexuality very uncomfortable always, right? So it is something that I always want to explore more. I want to understand more. I want to like figure out why. I want to tell stories that have those. So in 2018-19, I'd started this little attempt at a production house of sorts, where I was very clear that I wanted to tell stories that revolved around gender and sexuality in some way. Primarily gender, you know, queerness and what it means to be in a marginalized body. And through that, I discovered that a lot of things that I wanted to talk about weren't also very comfortable for actors.
Okay.
Because there is a human conditioning that they've had over how many ever years, which holds them back from expressing certain kinds of emotions fully. Right? So and also I had the same, because I used to also feel कि मतलब I'm from Marwadi family, you know, hardcore. मम्मी पापा चाहते ही नहीं थे कि मैं एक्टर बनूं कभी लाइफ में. Intimacy director, तो अब they're like, now they're like proud of it and they talk about it, but first they were like, ये है क्या भाई? So anyway, so I started like sort of poking at it, right? Then 2018 is when I had gone to Prague Shakespeare Company to study Shakespeare acting in Shakespeare. And there I met this director, Ben Crystal. So, you know, in that company, we had like 4-5 directors, and each director would choose their cast. And while you're training through the day, at the end of the day, you would do 3 hours of rehearsal and put up a play.
Okay.
Shakespeare का एक play है, Two Gentlemen of Verona. At the end of the play, there is a scene of attempted sexual assault. And there was like, they were doing gender swaps and all. I ended up playing the antagonist, who's a male character. And I had to attempt sexual assault on a female character. Right? And, you know, there was a lot of conversation. And then the director said, Ben Crystal, his name is, he said, let's get an intimacy choreographer. I was like, what? I was like, ye pehli baar suna. And we had an intimacy choreographer, and it was staged, and it was the Estates Theatre in Prague, and it was a beautifully choreographed scene. And, you know, there was like a domino, and it became quite fancy, right? And I said, oh, that's interesting. So I came back to India. That was 2018 July. And I came back to India and I said, okay, why don't we have something like this? And I started sort of researching. So I'm certified with this organization called IDC from New York. But there were like courses running. Intimacy work had just started across the world.
Okay.
2017, 14 to 17 was the sort of sprouting period across the world for this work. But I started sort of figuring out how would that work in India? Because you can't do it the same way that you do it in
Indianize
US.
it as per our...
Exactly. And then in 2019, there was this film that I co-produced, which was called Bodies of Desire, where I workshopped the actors to get the intimacy right, to make them feel confidence and chemistry and stuff like that. And I kept doing the work. I would do monologues that were like challenging for actors. I did something called Characters Unboxed, where we picked up like really uncomfortable topics and we worked with actors to like talk about them, do monologues around it or characters around that. Slowly, I started building like a own practice of sorts, which felt nice, which felt real, which felt like I could make people feel comfortable in a situation like this. And I was training with Damini Benny Basu in the Eric Morris system. And there I did an instrumental, which was called Blatant Sexuality. And something unlocked in me in that workshop, right? And I said, okay, here I have this Ben Crystal, I did intimacy choreography. This is something that I've really unlocked as a creative storytelling niche that really speaks to me. This is a practice. And then I brought all of that together and I just started doing like small workshops or, you know, working with friends to understand. And then, you know, Bodies of Desire, this film happened and Shakun saw that film. And he was, you know, working on Gehraiya that time and he called me for the workshop for the cast of Gehraiya.
So Gehraiya was sort of the first out there film which had an intimacy director. So
Gehraiya had a 3-people team. There was an intimacy director who's Dar guy, who's actually a director. She's a filmmaker, but she's the director for Kolmes, right? Now everything Dar does, I work with her. So I am her intimacy director.
Got it.
Right? But that's where we met. And Dar was directing, you know, music videos and she was doing the intimacy part and I did the workshops. I was not on set that time. But Dar and I really built a connection. And that time I was still like, do I really want to do this? I want to focus on my acting and, you know, and Dar was just like, you know, nothing doing. Between Dar and my acting coach, Benny, both of them were like, listen, we don't care, go certified, do this. This is a great thing to do. And so I said, okay, karte hain.
Wow.
And then I went to New York. There's a level 1, there was a level 2. Then you apply for level 3 where like people from world over apply and only 18 seats for that one cohort. So this was immediately after lockdown.
Wow.
And I had to go to New York 3 times to be able to do that course in bits. And then I was certified.
Yay!
And and then, you know, I think I've just been super lucky because there are people who championed my work and how.
championed your work in the sense?
They will mention me in rooms of opportunities. Like, Dar, I think my first 5 projects I got because of her. Because Jugaad Motion Pictures, either Dar or Dheer or someone. In fact, after Gehraiya, the first project that I did was, there was a film called Closure by Riya Singh, which was produced by Jugaad Motion Pictures. That was the first sort of ad come film to release about like consent, which was beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful film. Shot, right? So I was the intimacy director for that. And then, I did Kohara, and then Satyaprem Ki Katha happened. And then, in fact, last month I was sitting down and I said, I've done 50 projects now.
Yay! In a span of what, 5 years?
Yeah, 2020 you can count.
5 years.
Yeah.
Not even complete.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Great feat, yeah.
But I think it's also because I did the work, not because I was trying to get famous with it, or I was trying to make money with it, or I was treating it as a business. I do the work because I really enjoy doing this. I do it because I feel like, these kind of stories and actors in those spaces need so much care and kindness and, just love. And I want to make sure that, I know that there have been times as an actor on set when I'm not experienced that. I've not experienced that kind of care or kindness. I want to be able to offer that to actors. And I don't want to do it from a place of, oh my God, I want to change the world, I want to do business. Nahi hai mere liye wo sab. I do it because I really enjoy it. The day I stop enjoying it, I will stop doing it. Because I've realized that about myself. I only do things that I like. 7 years I was in corporate. I just quit my job to be an actor. I love acting, so I act. I love intimacy work, so I do it. I've recently discovered that I actually quite love teaching, so I do more workshops. I've started my own company, which is Brave Spaces Creative India, where I want to champion stories around intimacy and where I want to find policy effects of this work. But I do it only because I love it.
Speaking of policy effects, you recently mentioned before the podcast that now streaming platforms like Netflix or Amazon, they've sort of made it mandatory. So could you shed
It's
some
a soft
light?
mandate. So I think, soft mandate would mean there's no written paper, there's no written mandate ki ab to aapko hire hi karna hai.
Karna hi hai.
But most big studios and platforms now say that we will not go forward. If there is a scene of intimacy, we need an intimacy professional.
Got it. Soft mandate as in it's just understood that there has to be one.
Yes.
हालांकि paper में नहीं है फिर भी.
Paper में नहीं है, but and I think from what I'm aware, I know that a lot of producers in the Producers Guild are actively promoting this work. Some people that I've worked with, I feel like they champion this work so wholly and so fully. Like Nikhil Advani, Rohan Sippy, Sudeep. I feel like I have, even Nadia Adwalas, I have experienced, and I think Jugaad Motion Pictures, like I already said, but I've experienced a lot of people really championing my work, backing it and talking about it. And saying that, hey, this makes a difference. And even actors. There's Shweta Basu Prasad, there's Chandeep, Ananya. So I have seen a lot of actors also actively say that, hey, intimacy directors are great. I've seen directors say it, I've seen producers say it. Dharma and YRF now don't do projects without intimacy professionals. When they do it, when the bigger production houses lead by example, when bigger directors lead by example.
Nice. Did you ever face some sort of resistance maybe in opening up with the actors initially?
Oh, of course. I've had actors who will say, I don't know what is this. I don't know. I've had actors who've gone I don't understand why this work is needed. We've done this for years.
So they are okay doing the scene directly without having an intimacy director.
You'll always have even directors. There was one, meeting that I was doing about there was a show that, wanted to talk to me about my work and whatever. And someone asked me, I've been shooting sex scenes for 10 years. What do you bring to the table? And I said nothing.
Nothing.
I said nothing. Because if someone, listen, okay, so it's going to sound, I think, sometimes I think I'm not an arrogant person, but I know, but I know which wall I don't want to bang my head on.
Sense the room.
I sense the room. I I think I have great instincts of sensing the room. My early 2-3 projects, I had 2 projects where they were sort of nightmares, right? Where I went on set and, you know, I faced a lot of resistance in my approach or the way I was, because, you know, intimacy work is also not a blanket nahi hai wo. Every person who tells a story has a different language or a vocabulary, right? हर किसी का niche होता है. So my niche is authenticity, aesthetic. I'm great with implied intimacy, where, you know, if I know how to show that there is more happening than actually happening.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So that's what we call implied intimacy.
Okay. Implied intimacy का एक पुराने ज़माने का example would be those flowers coming in.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Just so we're clear.
Intimacy, actually, there are three broad types, right? There is implied intimacy, where, you know, you'll have a parda, or you'll have like a silhouette, or you'll have like you said,
सीधा चांद पे चले
चांद पे चला जाएगा, या foregrounding होगी, right? Or, you know, you do a close where you don't see you others only see the shoulder of the other person, you know, but you see the face, you know, stuff like that. So implied intimacy are scenes where you really, you know, feel like a lot more is happening when actually behind the screen, nothing is really happening, right? So that's sort of my forte. Like, I think I'm really good at implied intimacy. Okay. The second is explicit intimacy, right? Explicit intimacy is when you're showing the action. Right, like you're showing a simulated sex scene, an oral simulated sex scene, right? Or a physical movement where you're showing nudity, which is like below mid-back, right? Or side breasts, stuff like that, right? Explicit, it means you really see what's happening, right? In that also, actually nothing is happening, but you see more than what you would see in implied,
got it.
right? And the third type is abstract. Actually, that tool you said is abstract intimacy.
Acha. Like a metaphor,
right? Like a great example that I like to give for the abstract intimacy is, you know, Moulin Rouge. I mean, there's that scene where there's a tango happening and you hear something is happening in the other room. Now that's a beautiful example of abstract.
Got it. Just by the sound.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right? So that's abstract intimacy.
Got it.
So these are so intimacy work is actually very technical. It is not, you know, everyone thinks, you know, this is the worst. I always get, a lot of people will tell me, oh, you're an intimacy director, listen, you know, so I'm having this in my personal life. And I'm like, you know,
Therapy.
Take a moment.
Therapy.
But, you know, I want to just tell them, take a moment. Basically, my expertise is faking it. So if you're asking me,
it's a bad place.
I'm really not the right person. I know a lot because I read a lot. I'm a little bit of a nerd. So I read a lot about sexuality and how, you know, sex plays in different rooms. Because I feel like that's homework for me. And, you know, especially like when you're chilling sometimes with like a new set of people and, you know, everyone's really fascinated about your career. So many people, so real life. And I'm like, no, that is the point. Imagine how bad my real life is because I'm so used to faking and making everyone fake it all the time.
Ouch.
It's a fact. I mean, come on.
Matlab, it comes with its own pros and cons.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I just feel like people, it's that much. Like, we were talking about how people don't understand what I do, which is why, you know, when we were talking about like intimacy director and intimacy coaches are actually for a personal life a lot.
Okay.
There's an actually set of people who are called intimacy coaches.
Okay.
Who coach you in situations of sex and sexuality in your personal life.
So, intimacy coach, personal life, intimacy director, only fiction.
Yes.
let's make that distinction very clear.
Yes, please. It is very important that people know.
ऐसा कोई moment रहा है जहाँ पे the director or the actor went like, aha, we wouldn't have been able to nail this without you, Neha.
So I think I want to say, I think I'm very spoiled. I work with some amazing people. They always tell me this. Sometimes I think they're telling me this just because they like me.
That's very sweet of them. But do you recall an anecdote?
So it's not, you know, like really intimacy per se, but I did Mumbai Diaries season 2, right? And I worked with Nikhil Advani on that. And there was a track of a trans character having a journey, right? And Nikhil called me early on to be sort of a sensitivity reader on the script. and also approach it from a point of representation. How do we represent? Now, usually, it doesn't really per se come in the gambit of an intimacy director. But it's something that I have trained myself in a little extra because I feel like we need this in this country. And I remember, we had some interviews with, trans individuals, and we worked with the team. We actually worked at script level. And in that, I was explaining what it feels like to be a trans person, and they made it a whole dialogue in the script. It became a promo line.
Oh, it wasn't in the script earlier.
No. I mean, recently when I was speaking at the Intimacy Summit in US, I was doing interviews with like a few people in India who I've worked with about how they feel about my work and stuff. And this is what Nikhil mentioned. And he said, and I think I was so touched and happy because he said that, the relationship between an intimacy director and a director should be, I will look at a scene and I'll say, oh, it's great and it looks fine to me. And then someone will hold my hand and say, no, this, we could do it like this. And then I realize, oh my God, that can be done better.
Very well put.
I really think I'm lucky. That's all. There is no other explanation for this.
Nothing like it, I would say.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned music videos. So music videos brings me to another question saying, ki intimacy direction, is it limited to actors? Because performing arts mein there are many times where, let's say, agar dancing ka le le, so there is a couple routine that's happening, which is very intimate. Or maybe musicians or singers. So is it limited to actors, or does it go broader than just that?
I feel like anytime you are dealing with sex and sexuality in any space, there is room for an intimacy profession, no matter what the space is.
Room and need?
Yes, room and need. Also, I feel like the word need, it makes it like a handicap. कि इसके बिना नहीं हो सकता है. But the fact is कि कर रहे हैं ना लोग.
अच्छा, इतने टाइम से हो ही रहा है.
हो ही रहा है. Like that director said, मैं 10 साल से sex scene कर रहा हूँ. My point is कर रहे हैं लोग. But I feel like, especially in a country like ours, this work has to be a want. It has to come from a place of we want to tell better stories. We want to tell these stories in a more aesthetic way. We want to tell these stories in more kinder way. We want to tell the most riskiest stories and most boldest stories, bold scenes जिसे कहते हैं हम, but do it with absolute comfort and love for the craft. If someone asks me, do you need an intimacy director? My answer is always, you don't need it. You don't need, but you should want one. Someone once told me, they said, वो flow, spontaneity चली जाती है, right? If in intimacy. And I said, when you do an action scene and you are supposed to go for someone, आपकी spontaneity चली जाती है. तब आप muscle memory से करते हो ना? Then why are you using that's the craft of an actor. To be able to follow a choreography makes you an actor with some craft.
Interesting.
And all good actors I've worked with, they're always more open to beats. They'll always tell me, yeah, Neha, tell me how we do this. And exactly like I told you about that picture.
Beats, you mean like metronome, like what pace is the...
No. Beats is like the beats of the choreography.
Beats of the choreography, okay.
Right? कि first this action, second action, third action, fourth action. उसके ऊपर rhythm होता है, pace होता है.
Got it.
Right?
That comes later.
Yeah. So usually, if I was to go really technical, there are 5 aspects. First is eye contact. Right? Second is breath. Right? Third is physical movement. Right? What is the movement that is happening? There is a core action. That means there are 4 movements happening, but what is the crux?
Okay. The larger narrative of the scene.
Larger narrative is the physical movement. That's the whole movement.
Okay.
Right? But your core action is what is the action of the
got
scene,
it.
right? And then there's pressure, which is hold, grab, pull.
Achha, got it.
How much strength or how much. And that physical movement then has rhythm and pace. It has flow.
Wow.
Right? The action is your actual action, right? But what is your eye contact like? How are you breathing? Like a simple hack, I always tell every actor I work with, if you're supposed to do a scene where you're madly in love, just before the scene, do 10 seconds of eye contact with each other and sync your breaths. Because when we're in love with someone in real life, our instinct is to sync our breathing to them
Subconsciously.
subconsciously.
Okay, I'll notice this next time.
Yeah. Also, as soon as you like someone and someone you like is in the room, your one leg goes a little weak.
Weak.
So, like if you're standing,
Huh?
right,
Huh?
and you stand normally,
Huh?
this one leg will tilt or like
Fidget.
fidget. It'll go weird, or like you'll drop any one leg.
Interesting.
But it's a very simple thing. It's like this, right? Like early on when I discovered something called the vagus nerve. Do you know what the vagus nerve is?
Vagus nerve. I've heard of it, but no.
Okay. So vagus nerve is like a nerve that goes from here to here. It's the nerve that basically, in the most simplest ways that I explain it, it's the nerve that holds all your experiences, your expanse of interaction. You know that quote where people say, we're a sum total of all the people we've met and experiences we've had, and everything is held in your vagus nerve.
Okay.
Whether it's your genetic memory or
Good,
your
bad,
conditioning,
regardless.
good, bad, ugly.
Okay.
That's what sort of forms your instinct.
Okay.
So there are certain universal instincts that humans have. And with intimacy, there are sharp, unique micro expressions, but there are also really broad strokes of what intimacy means to the world.
Wow. Too heavy, yeah? But great. Your expertise on this topic is. I'm trying to take it in because half of what is I already know. But yeah, it's still very heavy.
Yeah, it is. It is a heavy topic in general because
great, it's
it's also a topic that we don't talk about. No?
It needs to be out there more often, no? And dance choreography, action choreography, everyone's aware of it.
Yeah.
Intimacy choreography, कर लेंगे, हो जाएगा.
We'll figure it out. Flow में, instinct में करेंगे, flow में करेंगे. You know, the word flow, I love it and I hate it all at once. Because I love it because I feel like it really, flow basically means allowance in some way. You know, surrender brings flow. But people have started using flow as a crutch. I don't want to work on my craft because, then my instinct will go away. No, actors are crafts people. It is a living, breathing art. Every actor I work with, every actor I train, I say, what is your riyaz? If as an actor you don't have riyaz, there is a problem. A riyaz that is only meant for you. So many actors I meet and they don't know what their boundaries are.
Boundaries in the sense, in terms of intimacy.
Really, yeah. There's this whole traditional way of acting where they're like, an actor must be naked and turn around slowly. No, they mean naked in vulnerability, emotion, not in your body. Right? So you should know what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. You should know what is the spectrum of your consent. Consent is not just a yes or no. There is a maybe.
Maybe is consent. The barrier, right?
No, maybe is. It may not be, but it is an investigation into whether this is a boundary or whether this is a barrier.
Got it.
But most people don't even know. Most people don't even know, oh, am I allowed to have a boundary? See, these scenes are not comfortable, so to say, right? They can't, like, मैं ये नहीं बोल सकती, which is why like I barely use the word safe. I feel like if you are a performer, if you're an artist, you've signed up for the non-safety, right? What is the job of a performer? You are basically creating emotions that should happen naturally, but you're forcing them, right?
Out of your comfort zone.
Out of your comfort zone, or even if I have to force being happy on a day I'm sad, there's a chemical locha you're doing in your body, no? Right? So it is a safety hazard. Our profession is a high-risk profession. So you can't promise any actor because we choose it. We choose to push our emotions in a certain direction. We choose that we will use, whether you're using physical acting, whether you're using Eric Moss, any system of acting you're using, you are doing artificial creation of emotions. They become real, that is different. But you're still doing artificial. Na? Even if you're saying instinct, कुछ तो सोच रहे हो कहीं से तो आ रहा है वो emotion.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You're already putting your body in a state of high risk. So safety तो मैं बोलती हूँ, throw it out of the window. But what you can do for yourself and everyone you work with is do it with a lot more bravado, with courage. You do it with courage because you know how to bring yourself back, how to take care of yourself, how to make sure that when you know the line between what is uncomfortable and what is unsafe as a performer. But so many performers don't know. So therefore, we misunderstand discomfort for non-safety, and we misunderstand unsafe for discomfort. And that, I think, has to be an integral part of training for actors. To really understand for yourself, is this uncomfortable or is this unsafe? Is this unlocking a place of trauma? To really go from a place of, is this really traumatic or is it just uncomfortable?
Got it.
Is this something that's challenging or is this something unsafe? And that's the difference between boundary and barrier. I think more actors should train in that.
Oh, you do take workshops?
I do workshops.
Oh, lovely. That's your close-up camera, please.
Hi. So I do workshops where I work with actors on acting intimacy, and where I work with actors on owning their bodies, on them being able to actively access what is a boundary, what is a barrier, and what really holds them back from giving great performances in high-risk scenes.
Where can we subscribe, find out about it?
So my company's name is Brave Spaces Creative India.
Okay.
On Instagram, we are Brave Spaces India.
Brave Spaces India. Okay. Now that we've delved as much as एक session में हो सकता है into intimacy direction, let's come थोड़ा ऊपर and carving niche के बारे में बात करते हैं. About what you've successfully managed to do, partly because of the great people you met and because of your interest in it. But now, tell me, in terms of if someone else were to carve their own niche in an already sort of saturated bolo, over competitive bolo, what are the guidelines that they can use to sort of carve their own niche? It can be in anything, any form which is not very out there as yet, like you did.
I have 2 rules that I follow in life. Whenever someone says you can't do it or this will not work, that is a niche.
Okay then.
Right?
Simple enough to identify.
Right? If as soon as someone says, oh, but you can't do, oh my God, people don't do this, or this is never done, that's a niche.
That's an opportunity right there.
That's an opportunity. And second, if something scares you, do it first. That is something that I think when I was going for my certification, and it's a very expensive certification in the US, and which is why actually the reason I've also started Brave Spaces, because I feel like there have to be more intimacy professionals in this country, and I'm trying actively to find a way to like subsidize intimacy training for India, because it's a lot. So I spent lakhs because I also had to travel to New York and stuff like that, right?
Back and forth.
And the program itself is quite expensive. This is something my teacher said to me. She said, Neha, whatever scares you, do it first.
Get it done with.
Get it out of the way. You know, I always say this, when I quit my job, everyone was like, you're too late entering acting. And I was like, I'm not. I will do it. Then people told me, oh, but you'll never be able to balance acting and intimacy. I said, I will, and I'm balancing it. Then people said, nobody will ever hire intimacy. India mein intimacy kaise karenge? I'm a very busy intimacy. Right? But I feel like, for me, I have this, my favorite quote is this quote by Camus. It says, live a life so free that your act of existing itself becomes a rebellion. I want to be that. I want to live a life so free that my act of existence is rebellion.
Yeah.
I think you cannot establish a niche if you're thinking of establishing it as a niche. You will get early success maybe, you will get, but if you're doing it because you really truly love it and you're doing it with that heart,
then you stand a chance.
Then you stand a chance. I want to just tell braver stories. I feel like every artist, every storyteller is basically turning feelings into magic, right?
Wonderful thought.
I want to be that person. That's all I want to do. And I will do it as a teaching artist. I will do it as an intimacy director. I will do it as an actor. But I feel like that's what I want to do. I want people to feel deeply, because I feel like we're losing touch with our own vulnerability.
Speaking of vulnerability, So one thing that you would advise to a performer who's feeling vulnerable or pressurized even to do a particular scene which they don't want to do, what's the way out?
Articulation is a big part of our jobs as artists.
As in?
There is something that I always tell everybody. An organized artist is lethal. Organized in thought, organized in speech, organized in action. You can do 10 things, but if you do them in an organized way, if you articulate it right, it will land. For example, if I'm feeling pressured about a scene, I will not say you are making me feel like this. There's a way to approach it. I'd probably say the first thing that I always tell everybody is, as soon as you start talking about something, saying, you are not making me feel comfortable about doing this scene. Gone. Conversation is gone. Instead, you ask, I have a few questions I want to ask about this scene. It'll be great if we can clarify before we lock anything. And then have those thoughts in an articulate, organized manner, not from a place of fear, but a place of curiosity. And I think that automatically changes the meter.
Changes the conversation and
And
the eventual outcome.
any good director is always open to having a conversation with an actor who they see has intent. I did this film. My part wasn't a big part in the film, right? But it's a nice part. It's sort of a primary character, so to say. The quintessential heroine ki best friend sort of a zone. Right? That's my zone, cute chubby girl. So if you're hiring cute chubby girls, I did a short film recently, and I feel like, recent short film we did 1 year ago, but it's recently won an award at the Palm Springs Fest, which is an Oscar qualifying festival. It's not a film that has known faces. It's a short film. It's called Kuchar. Kuchar. It's a coming of age story of a 15-year-old girl who's discovering, self-pleasure and her relationship with her mother. I'm playing a mom, right? So that to age me. First of all, I was like, nobody has ever told me they will cast me as a mom. But I loved the script and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. The director and the producer had a really clear vision. The director is amazing, Vedangi. And, we took our time. I feel like when actors, artists, no matter where you are, take time with things, right? When you're organized, when you put in effort, it will go places you can't even imagine. But we don't do that. I think I see a lot of actors, even I work with, who want to do it on the go.
Just wing it.
Wing it. वो wing it से मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लम है. मुझे लगता है wing it क्या होता है भाई? It is a craft. This is your work. मतलब करते हो अच्छा है. But then then those actors, you will see they also look the same in every character they play.
हाँ मतलब वो डेप्थ नहीं मिल पाएगा ना हर एक में.
तो wing it मत करो. Wing it मत करो.
Interesting. I have a few set of rapid fire questions for you.
Go for it.
A quick strategy to build trust on set for an intimate scene.
Opening practice and closing practice. So opening practice is basically you get the director, the actors and the intimacy professional together and just have an opening conversation. Start that we're on the same page, reiterate the boundaries, reiterate the beats of the scene and then say, let's go. And when the scene is done, come back together. How does that feel? Are we doing good? Close it.
Nice. If not an intimacy coach, which other unconventional role do you see yourself pursuing?
Oh, wait. Unconventional, I don't know, but I've been thinking of like something to do with trauma-informed somatic work. I really feel like there's a lot of space in that. I do some of that. But I feel like for women especially, how to own their bodies, that is something that I'm actually, I have a little thing that I've sort of developed, which I do it in bits and pieces. But that's something that I really want to do.
Okay, this is a myth buster, okay? We have myth busters, popular notion which are wrong. So just confirm or deny. Intimacy coaching is only about physically intimate scenes.
Deny. Matlab, it's a myth. This is a myth.
Why?
Because I feel like it is also about scenes of abortion, breastfeeding. It's also about scenes that are representing queer relationships, of self-pleasure, right? It's not intimacy between two people only.
With yourself as well.
With yourself as well. Like things like abortion, pregnancy, childbirth, breastfeeding. I've done in Scoop, we did a prison strip search scene. So you strip in a prison, that's nudity, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was it for the rapid fire. I slowly got lost in the depth of it. नहीं क्योंकि बाकी सारा हमने cover कर लिया था.
I feel like I spoke a lot.
No, which is great because your insights were vital. Before we part, I would like to know two things from you. First is, what is the piece of advice that you would give to all the performing artists who are watching based on the experience that you've gathered as an intimacy director? It could be wisdom, tactic, skill, tip, whatever.
Okay. I feel like we're living in a world of information. Information needs to turn to knowledge, and knowledge needs to turn to wisdom for you to be a good actor. And that wisdom will only come by applying and knowing.
Got that? I couldn't repeat it. Never mind. My next question now, the last one for tonight, is we would, including myself, this one, we would really like to see one scene where you've sort of applied all of this that we've spoken about and right there in front of us. Is there any one scene that you can recommend which is already out there where we can
I can mention series to you where you can go and watch. Like I can mention Kohra.
Kohra.
I think Kohra I'm also very proud of. Kohra season 1. I'm also very proud of that piece of work because every time someone watched Kohra, they said, oh, we didn't even realize there was a scene of intimacy.
So it blended so well.
It blended so well. Scoop.
Okay.
I think Scoop is where you can watch.
Yeah.
Oh, and Gehraiyan. Gehraiyan, I mean.
Gehraiyan, to I'm sure. Now
Yeah.
revisit it. Madam was behind it. And that's why it felt so butter.
Yeah. The workshops. I did the workshops.
All right. Thank you so much, Neha, for all your insights. And it was a pleasure having you here.
I hope you had fun.
I bomb. That was so much learning about intimacy direction. Oh my God. We learned about how to set boundaries. We've learned about what are the difference between a boundary and a barrier. So thank you, Neha, and I hope you got some value out of this. Please follow VR Art, like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep bringing out such content for you and help you in whatever ways we can in your creative performing arts journey. And in the meantime, I would also like to thank Kawali Sky Lounge, which is a beautiful rooftop cafe here in Andheri. So if you're around, do check it out. It's a wonderful place for friends and family. You can always drop in for a good time. So in the meantime, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. VR Art signing out.